Assignment AH5V, you're allowed to use calculator. Question 1, work out the cube root of 8,000. So 8,000, we realize that that is 8 times 1,000. So the cube root of that means, now if you've got a product, you're allowed to break it up, so you can have the cube root of 8 times the cube root of 1,000. And we know what they are. The cube root of 8 is 2, because 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. And the cube root of 1,000 is 10. 10 times 10 is 100. 100 times 10 is 1,000. So 20 is our answer. Question 2. A equals 3 minus 3 and b equals minus 1, 2. So call the vector a minus b. So a minus b, the vector, equals the top component of the first vector, which is 3, minus the top component of the second vector, 3 minus negative 1. And the bottom component of the first minus the bottom component of the second, negative 3 minus 2. So I get 3 minus negative 1, which is 3 plus positive 1, so it's 4. And minus 3 minus 2 is minus 5. Question 3. Circle the decimal that is closest in value to 4 over 13. We're allowed to use calculators in this paper, so I would just look up 4 divided by 13 on my calculator, and I get, if I write down the full display, 0.307692, and so on. Now, looking at the answers that we've got to choose from, we see that there is no more than 3 significant figures. So I'll write my answer to 3 significant figures. 7 is the third figure, 6 is the fourth, 6 is bigger than 5, so that rounds 7 up to 8, to 3 significant figures. So 308, the best answer is the last one. Question 4, y is directly proportional to x. Which graph shows this? Circle the correct letter. So directly proportional means as x goes up, y goes up, double x, double y. So A and B are definitely wrong. C is wrong because silly. And D is the only one that makes sense. 2003, minimum wage was $4.50. In 2014, $6.50. Work out the percentage increase. So for this, you have to know what percentage increase means. And to get the percentage increase in any example or any problem, we just work out the increase, the actual increase, and divide it by the initial value. And we have to multiply by 100 to change it into a percent. So our increase from $4.50 to $6.50, that's an increase of £2, divided by the initial value. The initial wage was $4.50. We're working in pounds here. And that's times 100 to change it into a percentage. And now just use your calculator. And I think I get, sorry, no, not 0. Times 100. So it's 44.444 and so on. Let's round it to 44.4% to 3 significant figures. If you're not sure how far to round something, I would suggest 3 significant figures in general is a good one to choose. Question 6. Bag contains counters that are red, blue, green or yellow. They give us the numbers. Probability it's yellow is 12 over 23. Work out the probability that it is green. So to work out a probability, you have to work out the number of counters that are yellow divided by the total number of counters. So the first thing to do is to find an expression for the total number of counters, which we get by adding all the parts together, 5 plus 2x and so on. And the easiest way to do it is to look for like terms. 2x plus 3x is 6x, and then 5 minus 7 is minus 2. Yellow, probability of getting yellow. Well, in terms of x, we say there are 3x counters which are yellow, so it's 3x out of a total of 6x minus 2. That's the probability of getting yellow, but we know the answer should be 12 over 23. So to simplify this, we can what they call cross multiply. 23 times 3x, 69x, and on the right hand side 12 times 6x minus 2, 12 times 6x is 72x, and 12 times minus 2 is minus 24. Now let's try and get my x's together. On the right hand side I'd have 3x, and on the left hand side take the minus 24 over 24 equals 3x. I can solve that for x, divide by 3, and I get x equals 8. But that's not the end of the problem, because look at the question. It says work out the probability that it is green. So we have to work out probability of getting green. So we have to look at the expression for green, x minus 7, but x equals 8. So 8 minus 7 gives us 1 green counter. And the total number of counters is 6x minus 2. So x is 8. So 6 8s are 48. Minus 2 gives us 46. So our probability of getting green is 1 over 46. Question 7. Use your ruler and compasses. P is a point which is inside ABC, the same distance from A and C, and the distance 4 centimeters from B. So for this you'd have to print it out on paper and work accurately on paper. So the first thing I think I would do is the distance of 4 centimeters from B. That means I could draw a circle with a center B, radius 4 centimeters, like that, going all the way around, and there's my radius. There it is. There's my circle of radius 4. This is approximate, my drawing. So let's say that is a radius of 4 centimeters from the center to the circumference. Next, we want it to be the same distance from A and from B. So I draw an arc from A somewhere beyond the halfway mark, and from C another arc, and where those two arcs cross over, they give me 2 points that I can then use to draw what we call the perpendicular bisector of AC. My one's not very accurate, but there you go. So we have that line as the perpendicular bisector of AC. So we have to find out where does that line cross that circle. And we see that the point there could be the point P, which satisfies all 3 conditions. Question 8. Use your calculator to work out this horrible expression. Well, to make sense of this, there is something called BIDMAS, which shows you the priority or the order of operations. We see that D comes before S. Division comes before subtraction. So I'll just write my first term down, and then I'll do the second part on my calculator. Cube root of 984 divided by 5.03, and I'll write it out in full. 1.977411465. Then you use your calculator. We've got to work to full accuracy here. So you work out 20.32 squared, and then subtract that second long number that you've got there. And in this case, I got 410.9249885. So I've shown full calculator accuracy. Don't round off if you're asked to show full accuracy. So approximating for the first part, 20.32 is roughly 20 squared. Cube root of 984 is roughly the cube root of 1000. Divide by 5.03 is roughly divide by 5. So we've just approximated each of those numbers. 20 squared, we can do in our heads, is 400, minus the cube root of 1000, we've used that before in this assignment, is 10, divide by 5. So 400 minus 10 divided by 5, we do the division first, is 2. So 400 minus 2, 398, which is not the same as our accurate answer, but it is the same magnitude, as we say. It's approximately the same magnitude as the exact or the accurate answer in part A. So we move on to number 9. The exterior angle of a regular polygon is 60 degrees. Circle the name of the regular polygon. So a regular polygon, there's one side, the next side is there, the next side is there, and so on. And the exterior angle, which means the angle on the outside of the polygon at each vertex, is 60 degrees, we are told. So the same at the next vertex, we could extend the line and show that that next exterior angle is also 60. So you're making 60 degrees at each vertex. How many 60s do you need to go all the way around? That's 360 divided by 60 comes to 6. So what do we call a polygon with 6 sides? Excellent. Question 10. ABC is a triangle with AB equal to AC. AB equals AC. And BA is parallel to CD. BA parallel to CD. Let's show that X equals 50. So let's think, how am I going to approach this? The angle I've marked in red there, angle BAC, is equal to X because they are alternate angles. If I draw it over here, if you have two parallel lines and the line crossing over, then this angle is an alternate angle with that one, and alternate angles are equal. So next thing we should look at is a triangle PBC. PBC, we've got 90, we've got 25. Surely we can work out the third angle in triangle BPC. We've got 25. So to find the red angle, angle BCP is equal to 180 minus the other two. And the other two are 90 and 25. So 180 minus 115 comes to 65 degrees, which means that that angle BCP is 65, but it's an isosceles triangle, ABC. So two sides are equal means the corresponding two angles are equal. So 65 there means that this one is 65. So angle, what should I say? Angle ABC equals 65 because we're in an isosceles triangle. So we've got 65, we need the third angle in the triangle ABC. Should be straightforward. In triangle ABC, angle BAC is equal to 180 minus the two base angles, which were 65 and 65. So that's 180 minus 130, which is 50 degrees. But BAC, I already showed earlier, is the same as X. So therefore, X equals 50 degrees. Moving on to number 11. It says in 1990 there were 285 mobile phone users. Every year after that, the number increased by 60% on the previous year. So work out the number of subscribers in 1994. So if I write down the years that we're looking at, then from one year to the next, we are told that the numbers increase by 60%, which means that you take the original number and multiply it by 1.6, because it's 160% of what it was. So each year we multiply by 1.6 to get the new total. So if we started, at the beginning it says there were 285 users in 1990, then we multiply that number by 1.6, then by 1.6 again, 1.6 again, and 1.6 again, so altogether 1.6 to the power 4. And just have to use your calculator to work this. My old calculator's got a button called x to the power y, where I just type in 1.6, then I type the button x to the power y, and then I put the power 4, because it's to the power 4, and the equal sign. It gives me whatever it gives me. And I've got to multiply that by 285. And if I do that on my calculator, I get 1867.776 and so on. Oh, just that. But it says give your answer to the nearest whole number, which will be 1860. The 7 goes up to 8. 1868, the nearest whole number. Question 12. Tick whether each statement is true or false. When x squared equals 25, the only value that x and b is 5. That is false, because x could be -5. Because -5 squared is positive 25. When n is a positive integer, the value of 2n is always a factor of 14n. Let's see, 14n, if I was dividing by 2n, then 2 is a factor of 14, goes 7 times, n goes into n, so the answer would just be 7. So it's true that 2n is always a factor of 14n, because 2 is a factor of 14, and n is a factor of n, if you like. And question 12, part C, when y is positive, the value of y is always less than the value of y squared. I'd say that is false, because if y is less than 1, for a number which is less than 1, when you square it, it actually gets smaller. Y squared, or y, will be bigger than y squared. For example, if y was, say, a half, then y squared would be a quarter, and a half is bigger than a quarter. So 13. Here are the test marks for 50 pupils. So on. Matthew drew the cumulative frequency graph to show the data. Cumulative frequency is the important word there. It's different from ordinary frequency. And the first thing we would have to do is to actually work out the cumulative frequencies of the different intervals. 6 students were in the first interval. 13 were in the second interval, which means that you have to add the 13 and the 6. You always add the previous frequencies to get the next frequency in the cumulative frequency. So, and add up all the numbers for the last one, you'll get 50. There's 50 students in that group in total. What that means actually, when I say that there's 6 in that top one, it means 6 pupils scored less than 20. 6 students scored less than 20. In the same way, 19 scored less than 40, and so on. 37 scored less than 60, and so on. So 6 students scored less than 20. I can plot a point there, which is, we should not use the midpoints. We have to use the endpoints of the intervals. So I'm saying Matthew should have used the endpoints of the intervals, not the midpoints, because cumulative frequency is always less than the last number. So you have to go up to the end of the interval. And then if you look at the second one, the cumulative frequency for 40 should be 19. He's put it at 30, but he hasn't even used 19 anyway. So 40, less than 40 should be 19. So for the second interval, Matthew you plotted 13, but the cumulative frequency for the second interval is 19. And that actually affected all his other points as well. Number 14, part A. The nth term of a sequence is 2 to the n minus 2 to the n minus 1. Work out the 8th term of the sequence. You just substitute 8 for n, 2 to the power 8 minus 2 to the power 8 minus 1 is 7. And we just work out what they are. 2 to the power 3 is easy enough. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So 2 to the power 6, I would just square that and I'd get 64. 2 to the power 7, sorry, let's write it nicely, is 2 times 64, which is 128. And another power of 2 is 2 to the power 8. Double that again, you get 256. So 2 to the power 8 is 256. Minus 2 to the power 7 was 128. Subtract 1 from the other and you get the remainder of 128. 14 part B, the nth term is 8 times 2 to the n minus 2 to the n minus 1. Circle the expression which is equivalent to that. So 8 can be written as 2 cubed. We've already used that up there. So that expression can be written as 2 cubed times whatever's inside the bracket, 2 to the n minus 2 to the n minus 1. And now I can take the 2 cubed inside the bracket. 2 cubed times 2 to the n is 2 to the n plus 3. because you add the indices when you're multiplying, minus, now here n minus 1 plus 3 is 2 to the power n plus 2. And I look for that answer and I see that it is here. The last question. The diagram shows design for a zip wire. It will run between the top of two vertical posts, AB and CD. Work out the distance from A to D. So this is a question about trigonometry, and trigonometry uses triangles. So let's make a triangle by making a horizontal line from D going across, like so, at right angles to AB. That gives us a right angled triangle with a right angle there. Let's call that point AB 2.1. That's 2.1 going up as far as this point here. Let's call it E. Then BE is 2.1 because it's opposite sides of a rectangle. So AE, or EA, is equal to the total of 8 meters minus the 2.1, which comes to 5.9 meters. So I've got 5.9 for that side of the triangle. I've got an angle here of, what is that? Well, I know the total angle is angle EDA, that little one, equals a whole angle, which is 105, minus the bit that I don't want is this right angle in here, so minus 90. 105 minus 90 gives me 15 degrees. So I can use SOHCAHTOA sine here because I've got the angle, I've got the opposite sides, and I want to find the hypotenuse. So sine of the angle, sine of 15 degrees equals the opposite, 5.9, divided by the hypotenuse, let's call it AD. So from that, AD will equal 5.9 divided by sine 15 by rearranging the expression. Which on my calculator comes to 22.795 and so on. I think once again 3 significant figures is enough, which in this case would be 22.8, since the 9 pushes the 7 up to 8. 3 significant figures, underline, end of test or assignment.